One thing I say that's always controversial and people push back on me is I am a believer of keeping all the photos on your phone. We grew up with transferring. Like our phone was a memory card and it got high, the number got high and we moved it to a computer. That's not how it is anymore. Now our phone is the library. Our phone is what we organize. Our phone is what we search. Our phone is where we use the photos. And so I want them all there. I have 30,000 photos and then albums can be where you really curate things. So if you want to make an album for the NICU stay, you can go through that time period on your phone and you could pick 40 pictures that are like, oh, these are the best of that time. And you can make an album called NICU. You don't have to interact with it every day. But if you ever need to pull that up to help someone else who's going through it and you need to remember something, you can just search NICU now and it will take you to that album where you put them all.
This is NICU Babies Parent Support with Kathryn Whitaker, a podcast from Hand to Hold, a national nonprofit that provides free personalized support, resources, and community before, during, and after a NICU stay. My conversations here focus on education and personal stories with medical and hospital professionals, counselors, therapists, and NICU moms and dads from across the country. So whether you're preparing for a NICU stay, you're currently there, or you're months and years past your stay, you belong here. The NICU is hard. We're here to help. I'm your host, Kathryn Whitaker, the mom of 6 children, including my very own NICU baby, and I'm so grateful that you're here. Hey, y'all, who's excited to be back? I mean, I'm raising my hand. There you can see, if you're watching YouTube, you can see me raise my hand there. I'm so excited. We had the hardest summer we've had in our family since 2009 when our preemie was born. But be that as it may, I'm looking forward to a really good fall, primarily because we have a new season of the Hand to Hold podcast, NICU Babies Parent Support. I really wanted to dive into the whole things I wish I knew. I have been around, y'all. I have seen some things, and I just decided I'm going to start reaching out to some people that I know have great wisdom, because there's so many things that you learn along the way. And there's so many things, someone will tell me something, I'll be like, oh yeah, you know what? If only I had known this, I probably would have done that differently. Or I may have said that slightly different. I may have approached that with a different heart. I may have been less hard on myself. And so that's what this whole season is about. And I'm so grateful that today we get to kick it off with one of my favorite social media follows on the internet. And I think it's important sometimes that we talk about topics, and I visited with people that have been in the NICU and they absolutely know what it's like. I also think it's important to talk to people who have expertise in things that are NICU adjacent. So in other words, they have great wisdom and they know what it's like in their particular area to be an expert. And it also happens to affect you in the NICU. And that's the case with our guest today. So raise your hand if you have taken any photos while your child was in the NICU. Raise your hand if you have taken any photos of your preemie or your NICU baby achieving a milestone or a video. Oh, look at that. Everyone's raising their hand. So because of that, I knew that I needed to talk to someone that was an expert in organizing, storing, deleting, categorizing, doing projects, anything that have to do with photos and videos. I knew the person that I needed to talk to. I've been following her on social media for a very long time. Her name on social media is Miss Freddy. She actually has a real name. I'm getting ready to share it with you. But Miss Freddy is such a great resource for how do you use, I'm holding up my phone right now, how do you use your digital photos? How do you use the things that you capture on your phone? And how do you use those to remember or maybe to bury some of the things that the harder moments, but to celebrate some of the big stuff? Like, there are many times that someone's asked me, hey, where's this photo? And I'm like, wait 4 minutes while I find it on my phone. So I'm really grateful that our guest today is going to give us, I think, some great wisdom and some great tips on how do you manage the beast of your camera roll. And we're going to dive into it. My guest today is Casey Von Stein, AKA Miss Freddy. She's a certified professional photo organizer in Golden, Colorado. She's the mom of 2, a 12-year-old boy and a 10-year-old girl. And after 10 years as a professional photographer, she realized that what people really needed was help, and a lot of it, of organizing and enjoying their photos. She offers remote organizing services for clients worldwide and self-paced online courses for those who want to tackle their photo mess on their own. And so with that, let's get to a really, really great chat. Well, I'm super excited to have you, Casey, because there are, of all the things that I think that we take with us from the NICU, we get to take things like trauma and guilt, but then we also get to take photos, which sort of document this difficult season, but I think in some ways we like to revisit that. And so I'm really grateful. You're like the photo expert. I've been following you on social media for a really long time. So I only see you in reels. So it's really nice to see you here. So thanks for being here.
Awesome. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, okay. So I want to start with this because when I think about organizing my photos, it sort of makes me break out in a sweat because I'm thinking of I have thousands of photos. And so the fact that you not only do that for yourself, but that you do that for other people is amazing to me that you've taken that on. So I know that you used to be a professional photographer, but how did photo organizing become like this thing that not only you do well, but that you love passionately and you teach people about?
Yeah, when we moved here to Colorado, I obviously leave my photography business behind. This was years ago, 2016. And I was like, this would be a good opportunity to find some task to fill in on weekdays. And so in my mind, I thought, because I was always doing photography shoots on the weekends, leaving my family. And so I was like, what can I do during the weekdays? It seems like people need help making photo books. A lot of people tell me they like my photo books that I share online. And I think I could offer that for some people. And then more and more, I realized my photography clients were coming to me and saying like, oh my gosh, my computer died. I lost the pictures you took. Any chance you still have them? And it happened enough that I was like, I don't think people know how to back up their photos, or I don't know that if they know what to do with them after I send them their gallery and they download these files. And they know how to share them on Facebook, but are they actually doing anything to protect them on the backups? Are they putting them into books? Are they printing them and putting them on the walls? And so maybe I'll just make some more content about those things. And I thought it would build my photography business because I was sharing content adjacent to it. And immediately everybody wanted that from me. They're like, yes, we need help with all these things. We can get other people to take our photos. There's so many photographers. We want to learn this from you. And it was like, oh, I found my kind of unique gift here. I thought that this was just common knowledge because I grew up here in the photography world. I knew how to manage the files. I knew how to back them up. I knew how to make photo books. It all came easy to me. And so I was like, this is my gift. This is where I can teach. And people very quickly made it apparent that that's all they wanted from me. And so I stopped doing the photography side of things.
Well, I think what I love about it is, yes, you have this gift, but I had someone tell me one time, learn what it is that you love and then give it away. And so
Yes.
you have this thing that you love and now you're giving your wisdom away. And I think it's been really helpful for me, like a hobby photographer. But then when I started looking, we have all these kids and we've had all these experiences, and I think it does feel a little bit overwhelming. So like, as I'm thinking about, and I know this is specific to NICU parents, but I also know that everybody has had a difficult season in their life, and perhaps they have documented that in a photograph. Like, I'm thinking of maybe the loss of someone that you love or a difficult season in your life, and you're like, but I need to document this because the memories are important. So, how do you balance, Casey, this desire to capture photos and then to document that and to hold on to those photos? Like how do you counsel people and holding on? Because it's easy to hold on to the wedding photos or the baby photos, but then some of these are
Yeah.
harder.
Yes, 100%. And everybody's personality is going to approach it differently. Some might be using the documenting and taking of pictures as a distraction. They're like, oh, if I'm taking pictures, then I don't have to think about what's happening in the hospital bed or, whatever's happening. And so some people have no problem with it. I learned after going through grief that I didn't even want to touch my phone. I didn't want to touch it. I didn't want to take any pictures. That wasn't how I came to that scenario. And so I gave myself permission to just do the minimum. I have 2 projects that I maintain and have for years. That is, I make one annual family yearbook, and I do the 1 second everyday project, if you've heard of that, where you just take a 1 second video clip every day. And so in the harder moments or in the grief moments, that's all I do. I take maybe one photo in the day. Sometimes I don't. but I always capture 1 second. And then I feel like I can put my phone back away and be present. And so I don't know. I know I will use the media in those two projects, but I don't know how in the future I'm going to feel about it. I have it. It can stay buried in my camera roll, or maybe in the future I will be grateful and want to come back and like, I don't know. You don't know what the grief journey is going to be. We said goodbye to our dog in December, who we had had for almost 16 years. And the grief like really shocked me. I didn't know that I knew it was going to be hard. I just didn't know how hard it was going to be. And it was so interesting to see how everyone in our family reacted differently. My son wanted to see every photo. He wanted to talk about every story. He wanted to watch videos of him with the dog. And so I was grateful I had those to give him. I didn't want to see anything. I didn't want to see the photos. I didn't want to see the videos. It hurt. And so it's just maybe learning that about yourself and then giving yourself permission to just maybe do the minimum to get through that time and protect yourself a little.
I'm glad that a photo organizer said it's okay to let that get buried in your photo roll.
Yeah.
But I do love the 1 second. You're right, because I do think that there are moments of our lives and all of us that there's something that happens and we're like, I'm going to document this. And you don't know when you need to revisit it. I mean, it's been 15 years since we were in the NICU with our son. And I'm just now in a place that I'm like, I think I can pull that photo up and not be triggered, or I think I can enter back into that space without it being hard.
Or maybe
So
you never need to look at those photos from the NICU because for you, you don't need that triggering. But maybe when he's 18 and you want to make a book of his whole life, you find it important in that storybook to have a page about the NICU. And so you have the photos there. And so I think it is important to take a few. And for me, it's like one a day maybe is enough. There's days that I don't take them, but yeah, you don't need, I think social media has conditioned us to feel like we need to document everything. And so maybe it's like every single nurse and every single everything of the NICU. And that just a couple in his book that you're making at age 18, just to make a collage of that chapter. Maybe it's just 3 pictures, but that's okay. It only takes 1 picture to bring back the memory, for better or worse.
that's so true. Well, and I would argue that a lot of parents are feeling overwhelmed. Certainly, if a parent's listening to this and they're currently in the NICU, like they're 100% in survival mode, and then you sort of move out of the NICU and you start to find your new normal of what you can do and what you can't do. But I would suspect that like things feel hard, and then you start to think about, okay, so now I have these photos, whether they're photos from the NICU or even photos, of your daily life that's not triggering at all, but that you've got all these photos. So if a parent is feeling overwhelmed, I don't think that's unique to NICU, but maybe they just get an extra pass of it being a lot. But so how do you even start, Casey? Like, how do you look at your photo? Like, how do you counsel people to say, okay, this is step 1, and then this, and then this? Because it sometimes feels like the task, like you're shoveling while your kids are eating, you're like, it's never going to get cleaned. So how do you do that?
Yes. I think it's important to decide for yourself what the output is that you want. So I said, I have this 1 second everyday project and I have 1 annual photo book. Do I see other people doing other things that seem great? Sure. I see people making a book for every kid on every birthday and a custom video of all the sports memories from the season. And I see people doing all the things. I've decided I feel like enough is committing to 1 book a year. And I know I can continue to do that. I know I've done it since 2010 now. So I know for me that's achievable and I can stick with it. I think sometimes we see all the things, we think we have to do all the things, and then we do none of the things because it's so big. So if we just say, I'm just going to do 1 book, everybody's going to be in it from my family, all the birthdays, all the trips, it's going to just be in this book. Then I can feel like I checked that box. I did something with my photos. It was enough for me. I see my family enjoying the photos. And so I feel like it was a success, even though I didn't do all the things that she did and that my neighbor did and all the other things. So it's working for me to just say, okay, I'm just gonna make 1 book this year. And for some people, making 1 book is the most overwhelming. And so maybe I'm going to try 1 second every day. That's an app that I can just try 1 second every day. Maybe that feels smaller. Maybe you try chat books, monthly minis. You just check 30 photos in your camera roll and they just send you a book every month. It doesn't require as much work. So you can find what level it is for you, but pick 1 project, try it, get it done instead of all the projects and I need to do all the things. I need to scan all
Instead
the
of all the
photos and
Instagram reels that tell us that
yes,
these are all the things that we should be doing.
all the ideas.
How do you approach when it comes to organizing photos and sort of
Mhm.
categorizing things? What are some things that have worked for you and you think that work for other people and starting that
Mhm.
process and then sort of whittling down the thousands of photos that people have on their phones?
So if you've decided what the output, the end result is, I'm making one photo book a year, then you can get back into how am I going to make this easier for myself? Well, on my phone, I can make an album that's called 2025 Family Yearbook. And every month, maybe I find a little pocket of time sitting on the sidelines at soccer practice or waiting in carpool line. I don't know. And I'll just scroll back through that month, check the favorites, and add them to that album. So then when January rolls around and I'm ready to make the book, I don't have to scroll through thousands of photos and all the screenshots and all the blurry stuff and all almost the same photos from him blowing out the candles on his cake. I just go to the album. I already did that work bit by bit over the year. And I can go to the album and say, oh, wow, here's the 300 pictures that I picked over the course of the year. I'm just going to turn them into the book. The rest of my camera roll is none of my business. I just need this album. I'm going to turn it into a book. And it feels so much easier. Also, you can use that album to, oh, when the teacher asks for a family picture you got to send to school, it's probably in the 2025 family yearbook album.
Oh
Or
my
if you need to
gosh,
make a
yes.
calendar for grandma for her birthday or for Christmas, the best ones are probably in that album. And so it's a lot easier to have this like kind of curated place, but you can do that curation very slowly over time in little pockets.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times someone's asked for a photo of whether it's our preemie or another one, and I'm like, "Okay, Rolodex of when that happened," and then I'm scrolling on the phone, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
"There has to be an easier way." So, you talk
Mm-hmm.
a lot about this, and I love it. So, you talk about albums and favorites and keeping things in the camera roll versus not keeping things in the camera roll. So, please give us your wisdom because
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really, really good.
So, one thing I say that's always controversial and people push back on me is I am a believer of keeping all the photos on your phone. We grew up with transferring. Like our phone was a memory card and it got high, the number got high and we moved it to a computer. That's not how it is anymore. Now, our phone is the library. Our phone is what we organize. Our phone is what we search. Our phone is where we use the photos. And so I want them all there. I have 30,000 photos in my camera roll, and it goes all the way back to my scans from my childhood. So when somebody needs something, it's my brother's birthday, it's his big 30th birthday, I can find a picture of me and him as a kid around a birthday cake by just searching our
I
names,
love
birthday
that.
cake, and like looking for the really old ones. And so technology has made it so that our photos can be fun and we can find what we need immediately, but we just have to do the work of getting it all there. So, first, I'm a big proponent of having a big camera roll, and hopefully that like feels like, oh, okay, we can do that.
Yeah,
Have a big
it
camera
does.
roll. And
Check, I
then
can do that. Okay, I did
check.
that. So,
We can all do that. Add more.
yes.
Go get the old photos from the old computer, add them to your camera roll. Go get the photos from the photographer you downloaded, add them to the camera roll. The goal is to have it all in that one place so that you can use it. So, big camera roll, and camera roll's a little bit messy, right? They're not all the
Yeah.
most best beautiful pictures. It's just everything. And then albums can be where you really curate things. So if you want to make an album for the NICU stay, you can go through that time period on your phone and you could pick 40 pictures that are like, oh, these are the best of that time. And you can make an album called NICU. You don't have to interact with it every day.
Right.
But if you ever need to pull that up to help someone else who's going through it and you need to remember something, you can just search NICU now and it will take you to that album where you put them all. And so you can make albums for all sorts of things. On a more positive note, I have one for each kid called Best of. So I have Best of
Love
Colin,
that.
that's my son, Best of Jill, that's my daughter. And it's where I put my most favorites of them. So there's 10,000 pictures of these kids in my
I
camera
love
roll.
that.
But the best of albums, there's like a couple hundred. And so if I needed to make a birthday slideshow, don't do that. But if I did, I could just go to that album and hit play and put it up on our TV and it would play by itself. And I know they would all be good ones. And so albums are really awesome. And albums do not increase the size of your library. They don't make a duplicate copy here and there. It just references back to the original. So you can put the same photo in 10 albums. That doesn't mean you have 10 copies of that photo. It doesn't mean you need to buy more storage in the cloud. So really you can go crazy with albums and they really help. I mean, I use them for all sorts of projects. The best of ones I keep long term, but then I have shorter term ones like, oh, I need to grab 12 pictures to put in this calendar for the grandmas. I'm going to use an album to gather those 12. And then maybe I delete it after I print the calendars. And then I just got a digital frame last year and I just hooked it up to those best of albums and that boom. Now all the pictures on the frame are great because I did that
You're kind
curation
of blowing my
at a
mind.
time.
I'm thinking
I
about
know.
one, how helpful that album would have been, but also it's brilliant. Okay, so this is why I have you on here.
And you can make that album today in 5 minutes. It only takes
You're right.
one photo to start the album. If you're like,
Right.
oh, I'm going to scroll back and find my most recent favorite of my son, add it in. All right, you started. You can search that son's name and just set a timer for 5 minutes and just pick the best ones you spot. You don't have to review every single one of your 30,000 photos in order to make an album.
This podcast is produced by Hand to Hold, a national nonprofit, but we're more than simply a podcast. Be sure to download our app in the Apple Store or on Google Play, or you can visit our website to discover all the ways that we can support you as a NICU parent at handtohold.org. You can join one of our support groups, sign up for counseling, find loss and bereavement support, request a peer mentor, or check out our educational resources and family stories. And all of that is at no cost to you. Right. Okay, so let me ask you this question about albums, because I think it's a question that you probably get a lot. If you delete a photo in the album, does it get deleted on your camera roll? Or where does it get deleted? Because I know you said, hey, you can make multiple copies, but if you lose the photo, that's when we start crying. So where should you keep it?
That's the hardest thing to get our minds around in this new way photos work. Because we used to file them one by one into a folder, and then there wasn't a mess here. It was all in folders.
Yes.
That's not how it works anymore. Now the camera roll is 30,000, no matter what I put into albums. Nothing ever leaves the camera roll. The camera roll is always all of the original photos, no matter if they're each in 10 albums. And so you can delete things out of albums. They stay in the photo library, the camera roll itself, because it always was there first. And the album was just a reference point to it. So you can delete photos from the albums. The photo still lives in your library. The reverse is not true. Because the albums are referencing to that original photo, if you delete it in the library, they're not in the albums anymore because it has nothing to reference to. So I have seen that mistake made many times where people organize their library for hours. They get all these beautiful albums and then they go to the camera roll and they select that whole time period and they delete it because they're like, okay, I did this time period. And it's just not how it works anymore. The library is always going to be everything and it's going to be messy and just, you have to get okay with it. And the albums can be exactly curated how you want because it references.
So the albums are like filters and don't touch the camera roll. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and the albums can be anything you want. Your albums are going to look totally different than my albums, and we're both going to have organized libraries.
Oh, thank you for that. Everybody's organization system looks different. And I mean, as long as it works for you, does it really matter if it looks like your neighbor's? No, it does not. Okay.
No, you're not going to have a best of Colin album. That's my son. Like, I'm not going to have a NICU album because I didn't go through that, right? So everybody's albums are so personal and they're going to change over time. There's not a checklist you need to have it done today to call yourself organized because your library in 2 years from now, well, I might have a high school album for my son who's currently in middle school. Like, everything's going to change. He might be in some new sport 3 years from now. And so now I've got an album related to that sport. It's just going to live and breathe with you as you grow.
All the top A people just exhaled a little bit. They were like, okay, now I feel better about my camera roll. So I know that you have tons of great resources on your website as well as what you share on social media. So why don't you tell people what some of those resources are that they can tap into?
Yeah. So Instagram is the place most people find me. Like you said, I share a lot of free content and really short tips there. People don't have attention spans to learn like a whole course there, but you can get little tips for free. And then on my website, I teach the bigger, longer form courses. So if you want to start from scratch, learn how to get all of your digital photos in one place, learn some suggested albums to make. If you have a scanning project, you have a bunch of physical photos, you want to learn how to digitize them and bring them into your library. If you want to make photo books, they're all separate courses for all the things when you want to sit down and get tutorials on how to work through it for Mac or PC.
And the website is missfreddy.com. Did I get that right?
MissFreddy.com. Yeah.
Okay.
And you can also hire me to do these things for you. Most people have a desire to do it themselves, but if you do not have the time or the desire, this is 100% a great task to outsource. I'm a little biased, but it's a great task to outsource because I can make the photo book for you and just ship it to your family. They don't even have to know that I was involved. The kids can just look through the book
You can be
and
the
say,
silent
great
partner.
job, Mom. Yeah.
Well, and what I love about that is that there are some people that do want to dig in and they do want to, and like they feel like, okay, I'm going to crack the code and I'm going to do this. You give them really good tools to do that. And then there's other people that are like, that sounds like the worst. Like if someone were to tell me, Kathryn, you should
100%.
go run a marathon, I'd be like, thank you, but no. But if you need someone to stand on the sideline with a sign, I'm your girl. So if
Yeah.
this sounds overwhelming, I mean, they can definitely use, I love the resources that you provide. Okay. So biggest mistake we talked about, obviously people deleting things in the camera roll. What are a couple other mistakes, Casey, that you see people make that you're like, why did you do that? You just made it harder. So what would you tell them?
Yes. I think it's moving everything to the computer like we used to do because the reality is it's so much easier to do everything on our phone now. If you have that little bit of time on the soccer sidelines where you're like, I'm going to make this album and get these pictures set aside for my yearbook this year, you can do that. If it's on the computer, it becomes a bigger task. I have to go find that external hard drive I used. I got to come plug it in. Like it's great to have those other copies as backups. It's not a mistake. But I think the focus should be how's the best way that I'm going to use these photos? And it's right here on your phone, whether that is right in the camera roll in iCloud for an iPhone user, or if it's in Google Photos for an Android user. I just think everything needs to be accessible on the phone now. And that's just not how everyone does it or how we did it in the past. It's kind of a newer approach. The other mistake is people get little pockets of time to work, and their immediate instinct is to go scroll back and delete junk. So they'll just start from today, scroll back and look for screenshots and look for the blurry photos and look for the eyes closed and start deleting. And you'll run out of time. Your 20 minutes is over. And like, you don't really even feel better. Like you deleted maybe 100 photos, but you didn't get closer to making the photo book. If that was your goal that you said was the thing that mattered to you, you didn't like get any albums. You didn't get anything favorited. It didn't make your photos easier to use by deleting that junk. So I think junk should be a lower priority. It's always there for you to clean up when you have time, but like what matters more is probably the albums and harding your favorites so that you can use those. Like print them, put them on the frame. It has more value and kickback to do that work instead.
And if time is of the essence, we all have we don't have just unlimited amounts of time to know that what's the goal. I love that you keep reminding us, like, what's your desired outcome? What's the goal? And always start from there instead of feeling like, well, I deleted 55 photos off my phone that were junk, but you're like, but besides that, what else did you do? It's like that can be the thing that you do if you have
Yeah,
extra
if your
time.
goal was to get some photo book in any form in your kids' hands in your living room, like they don't even know about those screenshots that you just deleted. You didn't make
Right.
any progress. And if you're tight on time, we all are, if you spend that time instead just making the album, you can share that album with me. I make the book for you. Like this works great. You can find a neighbor kid who loves design and maybe wants to play with photo book design. Send the album you made on your phone to her. I mean, it's so much easier to ask for help when you're not handing somebody all 30,000. You're just giving them that little album that you curated. And so you can get help. Help is important too, back to the grief thing. That can be a place where it's really useful for people if they don't want to see the photos, but maybe someone in their family needs a book because they want to remember that person or the dog. Maybe you hand it over to someone else to make the book and get that done with if it's too triggering.
That's a great suggestion. So if someone, now I'm old school, so I took my actual camera into the NICU and I took like actual photos,
Yeah.
and those exist. And then I also have, like you were saying, you scan in, I have hard copy
Yep.
photos and then I have digital photos. Do you think that people make the mistake of starting with one or the other versus whether it's a hard copy photo or a digital photo? Do you think there's a best suggestion of which one to start with?
Yeah, it doesn't matter how you took the photos or where the photos are, they just all get to the same place. So if you took the photos on a real camera, not your phone, your phone camera roll is probably currently only phone photos. So your job is going to be to find where you saved all those real camera photos and get them imported so everything's alongside. So that when you go to that NICU portion of your timeline, it's the whole story. It's not like, oh, these were the phone ones and they weren't as good back then. And so I need to go plug in that hard drive and go find the pictures I took with my DSLR. Or, oh, we had a photographer come into the NICU and I wonder where I saved that session. That is so much work. And then you're going to just abandon this, whatever the project was. And so if it's all in that spot together, all three kinds of photos, oh, you can do something with it. You just have to remember the time, go to it,
Right.
and it's all there. So same for printed photos. You mentioned printed photos. If they aren't like the same ones that were taken with your camera, then you would scan them so they become digital in order to add them to your library.
Do you think we let too many photos live on our phones and not print them out? As a photographer, I'm so super curious about what you feel. Because I'll say
Yeah.
this, when people pass away, like when my dad passed away, when friends of ours lost their children, the photo is the only thing, physical reminder. I mean, yes, you can have stuffies, you can have clothes, but photos are what are the face that you can remember. So I'm curious from your perspective, what you think about printed photos versus photos in your phones or in a digital
Yeah.
format.
I mean, people are always surprised that I don't print. Like, I don't print prints. I don't have like boxes of prints or albums that I slot them into. I feel like we all did that in the past, but I haven't printed in years. I view my photo books as the legacy, as the printing. And so I have 30,000 pictures on my phone, as I admitted. And each year I take probably about 2,000 photos. About 300 to 400 make it in our annual family yearbook. And those are the pictures that I felt were print worthy. I felt told our story. And so if I am gone tomorrow, I'm okay if my family probably lets go of those 30,000. They were for me, but I hope they keep those ones that I printed in the photo books. And then I also have like those curated as albums in my library. So if they were to inherit all 30,000, I hope they would use the best of Colin, best of Jill, best of 2025. They could just save those and it wouldn't feel like I was passing them along as big of a mess.
Yes.
Because they don't need to care about all 30,000. Those served me and I kept them for a purpose that made me happy. But there's a subset that's in those albums and printed that I think would matter to them for their legacy and to take forward.
That's really good advice. I'm going to end it with this because this season I've loved asking for people's wisdom. So, because it's what I wish I knew. So, what's one thing that you wish you would have known about organizing and storing photos when you first started?
Oh my gosh, I wish I knew that it didn't have to be perfect. I wasted so much
Mm,
time analyzing or researching the different services that I could use and the different resolutions things should be when I scan and the different printing companies. I ordered 10 different sample albums from different companies to try to figure out like which one was going to be the best so that I could print with them for the rest of my life. Like, I don't even know what I was doing. Why was I doing all of that? It doesn't matter. It didn't have to be perfect. I just could make an album and call it good. It could have been printed with Shutterfly, any company. I didn't have to be looking for the absolute best of everything for my kids to sit down and read a story. I shared recently with a client that last month I made the most basic photo book I've ever made in my life. My kids came home from camp. I took their memory card from their camera. I went to chatbooks.com and I pasted those items and I just let them fill the book. So it was one photo per page in order, no comments, no design, white background. I just wrote Summer Camp 2025 and I printed it. It literally took 5 minutes. And when the books came, my kids sat down on the couch. My daughter's looking through her book and my son's looking through his book and they're laughing and sharing these memories. Do you remember when your cabin went up on the talent show and you guys were dressed and my cabin was laughing at you guys and they were saying, that's my brother. They were sharing all these memories. And I was like, that was the point. Literally never did either kid turn to me and say, Mom, what kind of paper was this? How did you pick an 8x8 size? How come this doesn't have any words in it? Like, I was trying to do the most and be perfect and it just didn't matter. It didn't matter.
It's really good. Well, it's a good reminder for us that perhaps the things that we think matter the most, if we could just go back to the basic, go back to the goal, like, well, why did you do this? And it's really to bless people in your life so that they can remember a moment with your family in their life that brings them joy or maybe helps heal them. And I think in many cases, the photos that I've had on my phone have certainly been a moment of healing because I've put them in a place either that I can see them or remember them, and I feel good about that. So thank you for reminding us that it doesn't have to be perfect to be full of a lot of love. I love that.
Yeah,
Casey,
exactly.
thanks for being here. Thanks for all your advice. I will share all the ways in which people can connect with you in the show notes, but it was a real pleasure to visit with you. I told y'all she was going to be great. There were some moments as Casey was sharing some hacks and some tips and just some perspective that I was like, so now I think I have permission. I have permission to just let my camera roll, the guts of it just be a mess, and then just work on those folders. I had never thought about why. Why have I never thought about it? I never thought about making a NICU folder, and I never thought that I could add all the different levels of photos. Like I have professional photos, I have the photos from my camera, I have the photos from my phone. Why did I not think? This is what happens when you're a kid in the 80s. I didn't think that I could put all those in an album. I thought I was breaking like some internet rule, some internet 1980s rule that you couldn't do that. So that and the best of, man, I mean, yes, I can definitely see myself making the best of each one of my children, but I can also see myself making a best of the NICU or a best of milestones or the best of so many things. I hope that gave you some permission to let some things go, because let's be honest, as NICU parents and caregivers, sometimes we hold on to stuff because it's hard to let it go. And as I was visiting with Casey, I was like, okay, it's been 15 years. I think I can let go of that. And it also felt good to have someone say, you don't have to revisit that. If you took a photo of it, it doesn't mean that you have to do anything with it. You have it there. And like when you're ready to look at that photo again or do something with it, you can, because it's there, but you don't have to if you don't want to. You're the boss of your photos, y'all. You're the boss of your videos. So Casey, thank you for the gift of relinquishing this desire to be perfect, this openness to saying, what's my goal? And how can my photos serve me? How can I enjoy my photos? And maybe step into some places that I wasn't quite ready to step into, and then let go of the things that are too hard to deal with and celebrate the good stuff by knowing where my photos are and celebrating where they are on my camera roll. Because now I can find them in the fact that she could find photos just by searching, it gives me a lot of hope. I have a lot of hope for my camera roll, y'all. So my hope is that by the end of the season, I will be able to come to you and say, I've employed these tips and look at my phone now. So I hope that you enjoyed that really great wisdom. Things I wish I knew about organizing and storing photos. Questions answered. Hey, if y'all loved this episode, if you loved what we talk about, please take a moment and go over to wherever you listen to your podcast and leave us a rating. You can always share us with your friends on social media. We're always grateful that you do that. You can also watch us over on YouTube. It's always a joy whenever you share the great content that we provide over here for you. We have so much more this season, so many great guests coming your way. And this is a little bit about what you're going to hear next time.
I think it's just the only way you survive, honestly, because you can't plan anything in the military. You can't, everything, a change can come at any moment. Today I can come home and we're moving the next year or something. So just keeping your expectations really low is something that I learned really early on, because when you don't, you get really disappointed often. And so being resilient in the NICU, I don't know if I actually thought about that before, but it's probably because there was just no other option. And I think that kind of just relates to the NICU. There's no other option but to just sit here and wait.